Episode 10, Doug's Survival Weekend.
Doug pulled into the driveway in a semi, hat pulled low and glasses reflecting the morning sun. He honked the air horn twice, rattling windows across the block. Hudson, filming from the garage, whispered, "Papa just lost 10 years of hearing." Harry grunted, sipping from his mason jar. Man thinks he's the king of the road. Can't even back into a driveway straight. Doug hopped down, tall and solid, carrying a duffel bag like it was stuffed with gold. "Gentlemen, this weekend we test ourselves." Frank raised an eyebrow, holding a half-empty cooler. "Test ourselves how?" "I've already tested the cooler. Works fine." "No." Doug shook his head dramatically. "We're going survival mode. Out in the woods. No Wi-Fi, no AC. Just us, nature, and the skills to endure." Ricky slapped his belly. "I endure beer. That count?" Hudson turned the camera toward Diane, who stood on the porch with her arms crossed, puffing a cigarette. "What's he talking about?" "Fool's errand," Diane muttered. "Doug read one book about survival and thinks he's Bear Grylls. He can't even fix a toaster." Harry chuckled. "If a frog had wings, it wouldn't bump his ass, but it'd still starve out there." Doug ignored them, planting his duffel like it was a flag. "Sleeping bags, canned beans, fishing poles. We're men. We survive." Frank squinted. "Doug, I already survived. It's called Tuesday with Diane." "Shut up, Frank," Diane barked. Ricky grinned. "I'm in. Been itching to run shirtless through the woods like Rambo." Hudson whispered into his stream. "And here we go, folks. Episode 10, Doug versus Nature versus Common Sense." Larson waddled over and flopped on Doug's duffel, his jowls spread like pancake batter. Doug frowned. "He's not coming." Hudson panned to the dog. "Try telling him that." Larson groaned without moving, as if sealing the deal. Frank sighed, cracking a beer. "Fine, but if we're doing this, I'm bringing the cooler." The group trudged into the woods on Saturday morning with Ricky shirtless, Doug leading the charge, and Frank muttering about mosquitoes. "Rule 1 of survival," Doug declared, "always orient yourself with the sun." Harry tilted his hat. "Rule 1 is don't listen to Doug." They arrived at a clearing where Doug dropped his pack. "This is base camp. We'll build shelter, start a fire, and live off the land." "Land better have pizza delivery," Frank muttered. Diane, who insisted on coming to supervise, lit another cigarette. "This is ridiculous. I could have been at bingo." Hudson kept narrating. "Mamaw versus wilderness. Round 1. Doug clapped his hands. "Shelter first. Ricky, cut branches. Frank, dig a fire pit. Harry, you're on rope duty." Harry eyed the rope, like it insulted him. "Rope, don't listen. Rope don't care." Ricky ran into the brush, whooping. 10 minutes later, he returned scratched, carrying a stick the size of a broom handle. "Got wood." "That's 1 stick," Doug groaned. "Quality over quantity," Ricky grinned. Meanwhile, Frank dug a hole. Sort of. He leaned on the shovel more than he used it. "Looks like a grave," Diane said. "Feels like one too," Frank muttered. Hudson zoomed in, Dad versus the shovel. Dad's losing. Harry attempted a knot. The rope ended in a tangled mess resembling spaghetti. "There. Strong as hell." Doug tested it. The shelter collapsed instantly. Ricky laughed so hard he nearly fell in Frank's hole. Papa's engineering at work again. Larson, of course, claimed the collapsed tarp as his bed and promptly fell asleep. By sundown, the group had a half-standing lean to a smoldering fire that smoked more than it burned, and Diane loudly complaining that mosquitoes were eating her alive. Frank finally cracked a second beer and leaned back on a log. "So far, this survival trip is just camping, but worse." Doug pointed to the beans. "Dinner," Ricky squinted. "That's survival food. Beans." "Beans are protein," Doug said. "Beans are farts," Frank said. Harry chuckled. "Better than starving." Diane rolled her eyes. "Should have stayed home. I'm missing my gardening show." Hudson whispered into his camera. "This is falling apart faster than Mamaw's garden." Darkness fell. The fire crackled weakly, mosquitoes swarmed, and Diane's complaints grew louder. "Frank, I told you this was dumb." "Doug, you're insane." "Ricky, put on a shirt, you're glowing in the moonlight." Ricky flexed. "That's survival glow, Mamaw." Harry tipped back his jar. "I'm surviving just fine." Frank poked the fire with a stick. "Yeah, surviving boredom." Doug puffed out his chest. "This is bonding. Men proving themselves." Hudson zoomed in on his dad's face. Frank raised an eyebrow. "Bonding. Doug, you got us sleeping in mud, eating beans, and swatting bugs. I'd rather bond with my couch. Suddenly, Larson growled at the woods. Everyone froze. What is it? Ricky whispered. Bear, Doug asked. More like raccoon, Harry muttered. A pair of glowing eyes appeared. Diane screamed, nearly dropped her cigarette. The creature waddled closer, dragging something. Frank squinted. Wait, is that a pork chop? Harry's face went red. Damn it, that was in my cooler. The raccoon darted off into the trees, the chop swinging from its jaws. Not on my watch. Ricky hollered, bolting shirtless into the dark. Nobody steals Harry Bob's meat. The woods echoed with twigs snapping, Ricky yelling, and the raccoon chittering like it was laughing. Hudson giggled, capturing it all. Ricky versus raccoon. Raccoons still undefeated. Eventually, Ricky stumbled back, scratched up, panting, and empty-handed. That thing moves like lightning. Frank shook his head. Only you would lose a pork chop war to a raccoon. By midnight, everyone crammed into the flimsy lean-to. Larson sprawled across half the space, snoring like a tractor. Move the dog, Diane hissed. Nobody moves Larson, Hudson whispered wisely. Thunder rumbled in the distance. Soon rain poured, soaking the shelter. The tarp sagged, dumping water on Diane's head. She screamed. That's it, she shouted. I'm done. Tomorrow, I'm selling all of you on a garage sale table. The group huddled in soggy silence, mud soaking their clothes. Frank muttered, next weekend, I'm surviving with my TV and a six-pack. Harry chuckled. Cheapest survival trip I've ever had. Doug sighed, defeated. All right, maybe. Maybe survival weekends aren't for everyone. Hudson signed off his video, whispering. One tarp, one raccoon, one family not built for the wild. This was life at Frank's place.